Hey, look, it's the Doulbewide Dudes. Watch out. All right. Thanks for tuning back into the Doulbewide Dudes podcast. We're going to get into another short series on mobile home myths. This one will cover stigmas, perceptions, and different feelings people have towards the mobile home industry. But first off, how are we doing, AP?
I'm doing awesome. Really, before we go any further, I just got to say, Mousetrap, we're at over 200 downloads.
200, yeah.
It hasn't been a month yet.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's amazing. I just want to say thanks to people who tuned in, subscribed, and downloaded our first series. I really appreciate it, guys. But yeah, another mobile home myth that we're going to tackle is trailer trash. I mean, this one's probably one of the most harshest ones out there, and one that really hits home to people.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you hear it in movies, TV shows, and even people just talking smack about it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I had a friend growing up in the Valley. His dad sold mobile homes, and I would kind of feel like it was just a stigma, like his pops did something different or something shameful or something like that,
Yeah.
So the stigma is definitely out there that people that buy mobile homes, people that get into manufactured homes, they're considered trailer trash.
Yeah.
And I know this is a stereotype that you were eager to tackle, AP. Why is this one so important to you?
Well, this one's super important, and hopefully we can change some minds, change some attitudes out there at the end of this. I've been doing this for a long time, Mousetrap, going on 8 years now, and I've met a lot of families. You really get to know people throughout the home buying process.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, these families we help, they're the absolute farthest thing from that stereotype. Mm-hmm. They're hardworking, down-to-earth folks that they care deeply about their family's happiness and simply want an affordable option to get out of the rent race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from an insider's viewpoint, I mean, this stereotype really baffles me. I've helped families from all walks of life, really. From RNs, retired military officers, veterans, school teachers, you name it, really just a snapshot of our community here in San Antonio. But where does the stereotype even come from?
Where it really started, Mousetrap, way back in the day. I mean, we're talking almost 100 years ago. During the Great Depression, there were a lot of folks that would travel from town to town and just trying to find any work they could. Mm-hmm. And at the time, they were using, I guess the closest thing to it now would be like a fifth wheel, a travel trailer. They lived on the outskirts of town, and when you've got hundreds and hundreds of people with no jobs and nothing to do, there's bound to be a little bit of crime here and there. Mm-hmm. And that's really where this whole thing got started. Fast forward World War II, these travel trailers were used to house factory workers, hundreds of them, that needed to be relocated to work in the factories and help the U.S. crank out tanks and planes and all sorts of things to fight the war. And were used again after we won, and the greatest generation came back to start their own family. So, as the industry progressed a little bit, they started turning these into more and more like a traditional house. Mm-hmm. And, let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. When this industry was first born, these homes were poorly built. Companies tended to choose profit over safety.
Right.
And the product itself, every reason to have a bad rep, every reason to have the stigma. But the reason this really gets to me, Mousetrap, it's one thing to bash a product, but when you start bashing people, that's where I think you cross the line.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, these homes were poorly built. There were some shady people behind the construction of these homes and really cutting corners. But I know the federal government stepped in back in 1976, and they came up with the HUD code, right? And that introduced the uniform building standards across the country. And it really enforced these manufacturers to build up to a certain quality, or else they really couldn't be in business.
Exactly.
Right? 40 years later, how is this stereotype still with us today, AP?
Well, a big part of it just comes down to simple, misguided opinions of something that most folks don't really understand. And, Hollywood and the media hasn't exactly been kind to our industry either.
Right.
I mean, every meth lab shown on television or a news story about a tornado has to have a single wide in there. And I mean, hey, just a few weeks ago in San Antonio, you remember those tornadoes came through right through the town, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you had Steve Brown on there warning people in manufactured homes to take cover.
Yeah, that's nuts. The damage was really all over the place. I remember on my newsfeed on Facebook, I saw the majority of the damage was to site-built neighborhoods and commercial buildings, wasn't it?
Exactly, but that's mainstream media for you. You know, and in the day and age of 24-hour news, it's easy to just drop a story in there without doing your research to check facts and make sure you're not just propagating an old worn-out stereotype. Like we saw right here in San Antonio, even a $500,000 stick-built home is coming down if a tornado hits it. But that's a whole nother myth for another day.
Yeah, I mean, tornado magnets, right? I mean, we don't want to get started on that myth yet.
Ridiculous.
But so what's the big deal, AP? I know our customers don't seem to mind. They know what's really important in life, and that's putting a roof over their family's head that fits their budget. You know, they seem to be okay with it. Then what's really the big deal?
Well, you're right, Mousetrap. Our customers as a whole don't mind one bit. I mean, they even wear it as a badge of honor because they know better. Where this stigma really is hurting people is that it prevents potential home buyers from even considering this as a viable option to home ownership. Really simply because they're too worried about what everyone else may think.
Yeah.
You know, the reality is there are almost 23 million people that live in a manufactured home, and close to 2/3 of them are on private land with a good chance of appreciating, like we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading that home ownership is in a record low. I mean, I can imagine that with the dwindling inventory of starter homes driving up home prices and their ever-increasing rental rates, this problem is only going to get worse.
Exactly. And this is certainly an area that needs more attention. By the numbers, home equity will account for nearly half of a middle-income family's net worth. And if we don't find a way to show people the value that the factory-built housing industry brings to first-time home buyers, we're going to have a whole mess of folks that wake up one day with nothing to call their own.
Yeah, it's important to realize, AP, that for many people, manufactured housing is their housing of choice. Today's manufactured homes are safe, energy efficient, and can really last as long as a traditional site build would. For millions of home buyers, a manufactured home is a smart choice, an affordable investment that more than anything gives them a safe place and a stable place for them to raise their family.
Right. And I'm not crazy. I know that you and I aren't going to change this stereotype overnight. Sadly, there's always going to be those people that judge others and judge things they don't understand. And you know, really, no matter what kind of home it is, a man or a woman should be proud of putting a roof over their family's heads. I know you, me, and the rest of our team at Broston Mobile Homes take great pride in helping every single family that calls on us to make this dream a reality, and we're not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, AP. Well, that does it for the first episode on trailer trash. This is a second series of the mobile home myths that we're going to tackle. Tune into the next one. We're going to interview a few local families here around the San Antonio area and let you listen in on what they have to say and just how proud they are that they decided to call a Doulbewide their home. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you then.